Okay, we have talked about this before, but on any given day when I get up, there are 3 things that I know must be done with my day. First one, film. Second one, coffee. Third one, put myself together. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the 3 things that I have to do on any given day. Catch is, I can never just do all 3. So we got to take 2 out of 3. And putting myself together is typically what goes by the wayside. So, as per usual, you have tuned in for another episode of The Hair is Wet, but the Coffee is Made. I feel like I need to come up with another jingle that won't be as catchy as Crazy Angle Time, but the hair is wet, the coffee is made, and I am filming. That is 2 out of 3. Take what you can get. Hey guys, we are back with another one, and I want to keep the good reading vibes rolling, right? Like I'm super into it. It's all I want to do right now, and I do that through challenges. So I came up with something a little generic this week. We're not doing anything super complicated, but because it's me, because in true Lindsay style, I had to create a wheel. This is our newest wheel. I am calling it the read-a-thon spin wheel because I want to do this kind of read-a-thon style. Let's see how many books I could get done off of this wheel. I just took a bunch of super generic off the top of my head. I don't want to say like prompts, but themes, and put them on this wheel. Let's talk about them each individually, and then we'll do our first spin and see what it gives us. Okay, so the first slice is the new author slice. These things do not need a ton of explanation, but if it lands on this slice, I need to choose a book from an author I've never read before. So I'd be picking up a new author. The next slice is our TBR pick slice. And like it implies, it just means I have to pick up whatever books are left on that month's TBR. The next slice is our repeat author slice. Similar to our new author, if this slice comes up, I have to pick up an author that I've already read before. The next slice is our ARC slice. I am so blessed to be sent as many ARCs that I am sent via Kindle. Most of them are e-ARCs, some of them are physical. But the problem is between my challenges and my TBR, I struggle getting to them sometimes. So if this slice comes up, I specifically have to pick out of the ARCs that I currently have to read. The next slice we have is our greater than 500 pages slice. If that slice comes up, I have to find a book that has 500, well, technically it would be 501 pages or more. The next slice is our 5-star prediction slice. Like it implies, if this comes up, I have to pick a book that I think and predicting will be a 5-star read. The next one got cut off because the font's kind of big, but it says, continue a series. If this slice comes up, that means that I have to go and look at my series that I'm right in the middle of and pick the next book to continue that series. The next slice is the reread slice. I don't have too many books that I've soft DNF'd, like put down not the right time to come back to later. However, there are a couple books that I read quite a long time ago that I don't really remember what happened, but I want to continue the series, so I would pick that up as a reread. The next slice is trying to take it easy on myself a little bit, and that is the free pick slice. If this slice comes up, I get to just pick a mood read, whatever I want to read in the moment. The next slice is less than 350 pages. So I have to go to my shelves and find a book that is 349 pages or less, or technically 350 pages or less. The next slice is the last BookTube video slice. If this slice ends up coming up, I have to go to YouTube, look at the last BookTube video I watched, and pick a book from that video. And last but not least is our color spin slice. That one you should recognize from our monthly TBRs because I have another wheel that is just a wheel of different colors. So if that slice comes up, I have to go to that wheel, spin it, and the color that comes up, I have to find a book that is at least 50% of the cover with that color on it. So like I said, these are very generic, they're very simple, but I want to keep it kind of simple and easy this week, but also keep fostering how much I'm wanting to read. So without further ado, let's do our first spin. Less than 350 pages. Less than 350 pages. Okay, let's go get some options. I was just picking through my shelves and I did come up with a few options. They were When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This has 303 pages. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one has 308 pages. And last but not least, Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mehrer. This has, we got to get to before the acknowledgements, 337 pages. So all less than 350 pages. However, I was picking through my shelves and all I really want to read is The Sword by J. Bree. This is the second prequel novella before A Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. I read The Scepter in our last video and I really, really loved it. The Scepter, I think, was like 88 pages. The Sword is 95 pages and I'm so in that world right now that I just want to continue. So for our less than 350 page book, I'm going to read The Sword by J. Bree. Next day, I went and saw Dave Matthews Band last night with my father-in-law. He was interesting. If you want my thoughts, comment below and I'll tell you what I think. But it was a good time. It was a good time. I always love hanging out with my father-in-law. So we went on a little father-in-law, daughter-in-law date night last night and it was a blast. However, my husband is going to take my iPad to work today. So let's really quickly get this spin out of the way so that we know exactly what we're doing today. So yesterday we had to pick a book that was less than 350 pages. Let's do our spin for today. Oh my goodness. Okay, I can actually read for the rest of the night, so I'll be happy. I get to pick to read one of my arcs, of which I have dozens. Okay, let me go through my arcs and I'll come back with a short list. Okay, I'm back the next morning. And I'm going to keep my voice down because you guessed it, my husband is asleep upstairs and he actually fell asleep in the lazy boy. So he's right at the top of the stairs and I don't want to wake him up. Okay, so I wanted to come back and quickly give you my thoughts on The Sword by J. Bree before I hop into where we're going to go next. Okay, so I think I talked about this already, but briefly, The Sword is the second novella, which is a prequel to A Crown of Oaths and Curses by J. Bree. And I actually put A Crown of Oaths and Curses on my 24 to read and 24 list, which is in a video I'll link down below if you haven't seen it. And you guys were all amazing and said like, oh, don't read A Crown of Oaths and Curses before you read the two prequel novellas, which J. Bree does not make it easy to know that these go with that book. So thank you guys. You guys always have my back. You're real ones. So I gave The Scepter, which is the first prequel novella, a 3.75 in my last video. And I talked a little bit about how I don't believe that authors write these little like 80 to 100 page novellas expecting them to be like the definition of their entire career. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're just filler. Like, they're extra information, they're bonus content, they're like filler information. So that was a 3.75, which is an excellent rating for me for a novella because I don't believe they're supposed to be 5-star reads. I am going to go ahead and give The Sword a 4. I actually liked it just slightly more than The Scepter, which is an excellent. I mean, I think for context, I'm pretty sure I gave a Court of Frost and Starlight, which is the fourth book in the ACOTAR series, like a 3. It was, you know, right up there with the first one. Those were my two least favorite in the entire series. So that's an excellent rating for a prequel novella. So now that I've read both of them, The Scepter is more from who I assume is going to be our female main character in A Crown of Oaths and Curses perspective, and The Sword is from who I'm assuming is going to be the main male character in A Crown of Oaths and Curses. It's like they're different perspectives about the start of where the story is going to go in the novel, and I really like it. So I'm giving this a 4. So then we spin our wheel and we have to read an arc. So I have been horribly negligent in reading my arcs. Sorry, chaos. Just as I was starting to finish a thought, my father called. My boys had a sleepover at my dad's house at their Poppy's house last night, so I had to go and pick them up from Poppy's house. But I'm back now, and I have no idea where I left off. I think I was was reminding you that the wheel told me I had to read one of the many arcs that I currently have and am in possession of, and I'm so lucky to have them. I am horribly behind on my arc reading. I just think that there's like only so much time in the day. You know what I'm saying? So I had quite a few options, but I narrowed it down as follows. I am currently feeling, I think the last like 6 or 7 books I've read have been fantasy romantasy, which is my favorite genre, so I'm not complaining. But I am feeling a little bit of a change because I'm starting to feel like if I read too much of the same genre, like they all just start kind of blending into one another and seeming kind of repetitive, like very similar tropes, very similar like dialogue styles. And that's kind of how I'm getting right now. And I think I need to switch, and I'm kind of like, my brain is kind of craving a romance. So I took a look at my arcs, and I have a ton that I could go into, but I narrowed it down to these ones. I have a book called Crash Landing. First of all, how cute is this cover? This cover is adorable. It's set to be published on April 1st, 2025. It is a stranded with your ex on a deserted island after a plane crash story. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's probably like a second chance romance then. And it is 304 pages. So I could do this one. I also have Playing the Game. This was published on November 15th, so only a couple of days ago. It is a soccer billionaire boss, like a soccer player and billionaire boss story, and it is 269 pages. I also have Pen Pal. Now, this was originally published in October of 2023, but it recently got a republish, and I actually saw it in Target, and it had really cool like sprayed edges. So I think it was picked up and traditionally published, and I received the arc of the traditionally published. So I could do this one. This is a dark romance about a widow that starts a pen pal relationship with a man in prison, and it is 353 pages. So if I'm feeling something a little bit darker, I could do this one. Next, I have Apex, which came out October 8th of this year. It's a billionaire engineer and a cocky race car driver, spicy enemies to lovers romance, and it is 357 pages. Then I also was blessed enough to receive the arc of Swift and Saddled. This came out in March of 2024. That's how behind I am. This is your city girl cowboy romance, opposites attract, forced proximity trope, and it is 320 pages. And then I also received the arc of the one and only Binding 13 when it was republished, traditionally published. So I received this. There's like a million different editions to this book, and I received the most recent republished version. This is an emotional trauma high school romance. It's categorized as YA, but honestly, from everything that I've seen, it should not be categorized as YA. So I don't know, maybe like new adult type of deal. And it is 628 pages. That's a long one. That's a very long one. Okay. So once again, if we're doing our process of elimination with all of our options, right off the bat, I'm going to eliminate Playing the Game. I just don't know if I'm in the mood for the soccer billionaire thing. I don't know why. It's just not calling out to me. And as much as this breaks my heart, because I do want to read it, and to be honest with you, I almost was kind of leaning towards it, I'm going to eliminate Swift and Saddled, and here's my reasoning. On this month's TBR, I actually have, I believe it's Reckless by Elsie Silver, which is a cowboy romance. So if I'm going to jump into a cowboy romance and pick one of those up, it might as well be Reckless so that I can knock it off of my TBR. So I just don't think it's the right time for Swift and Saddled. I have another cowboy romance I could prioritize, so I'm going to knock that one off. So we're left with Crash Landing, Pen Pal, Double Apex, and Binding 13. Okay, I'm also going to eliminate Binding 13. I am definitely not in the mood to start a 600-page book, and I'm kind of not wanting to necessarily start another series. I don't think any of the rest of these are series. I think Double Apex might end up being a series, but I'm pretty sure it's the only one at this current time. So I have Crash Landing, Pen Pal, and Double Apex. I don't know if I'm feeling anything super dark right now because I actually just read a couple of fantasy romances recently that have been a bit darker, including like Phantasma had some dark elements. So I think I'm going to knock off Pen Pal. So I'm choosing between Crash Landing and Double Apex. Oh, they're so different. Am I feeling like a sports romance type of like race car thing? Or... Okay, guys, I think I'm going to go with Crash Landing because it seems so unique and something about that like stranded on a desert island thing is intriguing me. So I think for our arc spin, I'm going to pick up Crash Landing. New angle. We never film from here, but I have a sick little guy today and he is currently resting in the guest bedroom. So if you guys don't know, my office and like my filming setup is in my house's in-law apartment. We have a whole apartment down here and I usually film like in my office or my guest room, but I have a little guy in there resting because he has a cold. So I am currently in the kitchen in the in-law apartment. I never film in here. I'm going to be honest with you. We don't actually use this space too much. Sometimes we do, but I did just finish Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. This was cute. I think I gave a brief summary already, but if I didn't, just to kind of recap. So this book is about our main female character, Piper, whose best friend, Allie, is getting married, and she is the maid of honor, so she is going to Allie's wedding, and had a high school relationship with Allie's cousin, Wyatt, and it ended very, like, abruptly. I don't think there was really ever closure. There was a lot of loose ends. And I think there's actually a little bit of like, on Piper's side, there's a little bit of confusion as to why it actually ended as abruptly as it did. But this was like her high school love. So it was very painful. And I think she was kind of dreading the prospect of seeing Wyatt. And this was years and years and years and years and years and years later. And they had not spoken. They cut off all contact when they broke up. So Allie gets to the airport and finds out that her flight to the Bahamas to Allie's wedding was canceled. She didn't know what she was going to do. And she runs into Wyatt in the airport, who says, I'm also trying to get to the wedding. And he had done, through those years that they hadn't spoken, he had joined the military and he had his pilot's license. And he said, hey, I have like a military buddy who's willing to let us use his plane. I'm going to fly myself to the Bahamas. I have room for one more if you'd like to get on. And in the course of flying to the Bahamas, they hit a storm, they crash, and they are stranded on this remote island. And they, through the course of being stranded on this island and hoping and praying that they eventually get rescued, do they or don't they? I guess you will have to read and find out. They discover, basically they confront the past and they tie up a lot of the loose ends that happened and kind of explore whether or not they have a future moving forward, or whether it would be better just to leave that relationship in the past now that they have the closure that they needed. So it was very, very cute. I really liked it. The writing was great. It read very quickly. It was good and it was entertaining. I did give this, I think for most of the book, it was sitting at like a 3.75 stars for me. However, taking into account that this was Annie McQuaid's debut novel, I think this was really good and very entertaining. So I think I may end up just like bumping it up to a 4-star on Goodreads, because I think for a debut novel, this is above the effort of a lot of debut authors. So I think she deserves a 4. For some reason, when I think about giving it a 3.75, it just seems like just a smidge low to me. So I'd probably give it a 4-star. I think for me, it was a little longer than it needed to be. Maybe like another round of editing and making like a couple more cuts, I think might have benefited this book, because it is somewhere around 400 pages. I read it on my Kindle and the ARC copies don't have the appropriate page numbers. So I'm not entirely sure exactly how long the finished copy is going to end up, but I think it's somewhere around 400 pages. And I just don't feel like it needs to be quite that long. There were several parts that were either conversations or anecdotes or things like that that kind of never come up again. And I just think they could have been cut out. It was good. It was cute. Also, if you're someone who hates like the miscommunication trope or like the picking fights for stupid reasons trope, you would probably not always appreciate everything that's in this book, because there is a healthy amount of miscommunication, and also some of like the little spats that they get into just seem very childish. I don't know. And as someone who is 36 years old and has been married for like almost 15 years, like the things that they were kind of butting heads about and like giving each other crap about just seemed very childish to me. And maybe that's just me being jaded, because it's like, if I spent 15 years fighting over every time he didn't fold a sock the way I liked, like that's all we would do. You know, we would never work out. So yeah, I just felt it was a little bit juvenile at parts, but overall, what a solid debut novel. 4 stars. So now we get to spin our wheel again. And since I started recording this video, we have ticked over into a new month. So I have a whole new TBR sitting in my office. So if one of these slices comes up that is our new TBR slice, we will be picking from our TBR. And it's our new one, which I could definitely get down with. I'm going to honestly try to pick something off of our TBR regardless, but here is our wheel. Let's see where we're going next. What's it gonna be? Continue a series. Okay, and it's funny because if you watched my most recent December spin wheel TBR, we actually spun our series spin, and now for the life of me, I cannot remember which series I chose. Let's go and check out my TBR. Let's see what series I chose to continue after that. I might not even go that direction. I'm in a very specific mood right now. So let's see what's on our TBR and see if it fits. Okay, so without disturbing Mr. Cole, are we disturbing you? No. Okay, thank you. So without disturbing Mr. Cole, who's currently resting right over here in our guest room, we are at my current December TBR. Now, for continuous series, when I did spin the series spin, I actually selected The Elite, which is the second book in the selection series. So this is definitely part of a series. Continue a series. Oh, but I also have, oh boy, I'm gonna drop all of these. Okay. Ooh, but does this count too? Oh, we might have a couple options. Okay, let's figure out what we're doing here. But I also, on my TBR, have Kingdom of the Curse, which is the second book after Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. So this would also be continuing the series. And then I don't know if this counts, but we also selected The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. I don't know if you would necessarily consider this a series, but I know this is also interconnected with the cheat sheet, which I did read. I don't think it's necessarily a series, but I don't know if this would count. Probably not. So let's go ahead and just skip that. So, oh, we could also do, hold on guys. We could also do Barbarian Lover. This is on our TBR as well. So what do I do? Okay, if I'm between The Elite, Kingdom of the Cursed, and Barbarian Lover, I think I'm gonna eliminate Kingdom of the Cursed. I'm just kind of not feeling that one right now. So between The Elite and Barbarian Lover, I think we all know what I'm going to do. We're picking up Barbarian Lover. This is just a fun series. Like, don't get upset with me, it just is. So we are going to go into the third book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series for our Continue a Series spin.
You make me nervous. I think I might be hooked on you. Things you said to me, it seems like you like me too. We can take it slow, make sure we do this right.
Back again, and I officially just finished Barbarian Lover. And by the way, I don't think you can, so I'm probably just outing myself. But if you can see the fact that the bed isn't made and the reflection of the TV, I think I said this in a previous clip, my youngest son isn't feeling very good, and he's been like lounging in the guest room and like relaxing just because it stays nice and dark and nice and quiet down here, and life happens in the rest of the main house. So he kind of just like chills down here. He's currently watching TV in the media room, so he's not in here, but I'm not going to bother making the bed because he's probably going to end up curling back up in here at some point. But he's entertained doing God knows what in the media room, so we're good to go. But I did just finish Barbarian Lover, and I feel like I am going to be a broken record for this Ice Planet Barbarian series. I say this all the time. I've talked in multiple videos about this, but I'm going to start out by just saying that I sat down and I read this book cover to cover in a total of 4 hours. That's it. I just binge them. And that is what I love about this series. They're just easy, they're bingeable, and they're just monster alien smut. I mean, there's nothing that you need to sit and like contemplate and think. The characters are easy, the storylines are easy, the writing is easy. And I don't think that Ruby Dixon sat down and wrote this thinking this was going to be eligible for a Pulitzer Prize, okay? It's nothing like that. If you don't take it too seriously, these are patently good. There's nothing wrong with them. They are so much of what I love about reading. You clear your brain and you just dive into the story, and they're fun and they're good times. Are you going to take anything super deep out of these stories? No, I'm not speaking for you. Feel free. But I don't personally feel that my life has changed after I read these, but that's almost like part of the fun. That it's just escapism at its finest. This book follows Kira, and I was calling him Ayako. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's an alien name, so who knows. But I was pronouncing it Ayako. It's yet another one of the girls from the ship that had crashed in the first book, and her mate that she finds. So I'm giving this a 4.25 stars. Easy, fun, more Ice Planet, Barbarian, good times. If you are like me and you read for pure escapism and you like well-placed smut, this is the series for you. And actually, it's funny because I feel like I go to bat for Ice Planet Barbarian so often that someone actually commented on my last video that I talked about it, that they picked up the first one thinking like, oh, this is just going to be like, you know, something like mind-numbing, and they read books 1 through 5 like straight because they're just entertaining and they're easy and they're simple and they're fast. So if you're looking for something like that, this will probably fit the bill. So I actually thought that we would be done with this video after the third book because I usually try to do 3 books in my reading vlogs. However, because Barbarian Lover went so fast, I think we could probably squeeze a 4th book into this video's reading. I think we can, and I'm loving this wheel. So, do you hear my little guy? He has such a yucky little cough. Anyways, that's like the mommy pulling at your heartstrings. I hate when they're sick, but okay, so we are going to spin for our 4th book. Let's see what it's going to give us. I'm just hoping it's not the I think there's one that says something about 500 page. Oh my God, I thought that was it. Oh my God. I was like, if I manifested the tough one on me again, because I did that in one of my most recent videos. I was like, oh God, as long as it's anything but this. And then it came up. Okay. Less than 350 pages. That's pretty vague. Let's go grab some options. Okay, I am back. I just actually searched. I didn't really have to go too far because I really want this month. If you didn't watch my TBR, I allowed myself full veto power, meaning that my entire December TBR is all stuff that I really want to read. There's one wild card on it, but it's not even that. It's like a new book that I downloaded. It's just something that I'm like a little iffy about. But my entire TBR this month are books that I actually want to prioritize getting to. So it wasn't that hard. I just went straight to my TBR to see. And I picked out 4 books. I have not checked their page counts yet, so we'll do that together. Okay, so the first book that's on my TBR is Heartless Hunter. I am so hoping that this is under 350 pages and this will be an option because I could go for a little YA fantasy right now. So let's see. It is... Ugh, I flipped open to the back and I'm already at 399. Moving on. Okay, The other book from my TBR is Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. Not only do I obviously, of course, have the book, and I'm so dying to get into this because it is Draco Malfoy, but I also have the audiobook who he narrated himself. So I would get to listen to his story in his words, and I've heard that that is the great way to do that, to kind of like immersively read it. I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is under 350 pages. I'm trying not to spoil myself for anything. Time well spent. Okay, this book is 286 pages. So this will remain on our short list. This is an option. I also grabbed The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Obviously, this book has taken the internet by storm recently. I want to read it and see what the hype is about because it is Gilmore Girls coded. So that's obviously for me. Okay, let's see. Am I on? Oh, no. This book is 357 pages. Okay, moving on. Getting over it. Getting over it. And the last book that I'm hoping is a contender is The Elite, which is the second book in the selection series. This book was picked on our TBR from my series wheel that chooses which series I continue. And I really liked it. It was a YA, so the selection, the first book, is a YA fantasy romance type of deal, but I was surprised by how much I liked it. So, okay, this is the preview at the end of the next book. 323 pages. Okay. So we have Beyond the Wand and the Selection as our two options. Okay. Celebrity memoir, audiobook immersive reading, and a YA fantasy romance that I really enjoyed the first one. Okay, because I just read Ice Planet Barbarian, I just read kind of like a romance vibe, I think I could switch it up, and I'm going to go with Beyond the Wand. I'm so excited to listen to Tom Felton tell his story. I'm so excited to get a little bit of background information on playing Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter series, so we are going to go into Beyond the Wand as our last book for this vlog. I will never be the same person. Wow. Okay. This update is not coming to you as I had originally planned it. As I had originally planned this is about 280 pages long total. And my original plan was to sit down and to read, 50, 60 pages, and then come back, give you guys my initial thoughts, get some B-roll of me continuing the book, and then come back with my final thoughts. And I sat down to initially read that 50 or 60 pages and never stood back up. I read this immersively, meaning I had the audiobook that Tom Felton narrates himself playing in my ears, and I followed along in the book. So I set the audiobook at like what I would consider my comfortable reading pace, which I believe was like 1.7 times on the audiobook. That was like my very comfortable, casual pace that I would have been reading in my head. And I just opened it, listened, and closed it 3 hours later. I never stood up. This was 5 stars. It truly was transformative. I'm like emotional thinking about it because if you are a Harry Potter fan, this was everything. And I really do suggest, I know it's a bit more expensive because you have to buy the audiobook and the Kindle book or the physical book, but there was something that really changed the experience for me listening to Tom tell his story in his words and like following along with him. This was incredible. If you're a Harry Potter fan, he touches on everything. You get part of his early life before Harry Potter. You get during Harry Potter. He touches on like, I think 90% of the people in the series that he worked indirectly and directly with, how they transformed him. You talk about life during Harry Potter, after Harry Potter, just truly beautifully written and so vulnerable and honest, but with such a silver lining told to it. He has a gorgeous prose. He has a beautiful attitude. Listening to him tell his story was special, and I will be changed since reading this. Now, in fairness, Harry Potter is a lifestyle for me. I'm a huge fan. Harry Potter changed my life. So this probably has a lot of probably has a lot more of an emotional personal significance to me than it may for some people. However, if I remove myself and I put on just like, I take off my Harry Potter hat and my diehard fan hat, there's so much that this book could offer. Just like a regular reader, a regular person, there's a little bit of something for everybody in this book. I mean, he has truly been privileged to work with some of the greats in the industry, and wow, emotional, amazing, and one of the easiest 5 stars I've ever given. And I'm sorry I don't have any footage of me reading it, because I opened this book and was transported, and honestly, the rest of the world kind of faded away. And before I knew it, it was over. And I said, wow, time did not matter while I was between the covers of this book, truly. So please, go read it. Honestly, I would say that the B-roll would have given you some of my reactions, but I think I was just so incredibly immersed in this book. I don't even think I had any reactions. It was all in here. It meant something, and it meant so much in here and in my heart that just seriously, please go pick this up. It's amazing. If you're looking to add a little bit of nonfiction to your repertoire, or if you're looking for something to kind of like push you outside of your, comfort levels, a good celebrity memoir, this is a celebrity memoir that you come out of so glad that you read it, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. But even if you're not, and if you can swing it, please pick up the audiobook, because that really changed the experience for me. Wow. Thank you, Tom Felton. This was incredible. And just like that, we have another challenge down. What a fantastic challenge. I think this read-a-thon spin wheel is going to be sticking around. Comment below if you agree. I like this. It's simple, it's easy, and it gives me a little bit of it's enough of a challenge, but enough of flexibility to pick what I want to read and to give me a little vagueness. I also love that it pushed me to actually knock an arc off of my list, which was great. So let's talk about what it pushed me to read this week. Okay, the first book that the read-a-thon wheel told me to pick up was The Sword by Jay Bray. I discussed this briefly already, but it's the second novella before A Crown of Oaths and Curses, and I gave this 4 stars. Super easy to read, super fun. I can't wait to jump into A Crown of Oaths and Curses, because I think actually getting into the real, the meat and potatoes of the story will tell me if these 2 novellas were, quote unquote, worth it. But I've heard that they are. Always with the furnace. The battle continues. It is 19 degrees out today. So, okay, we'll wait. We're on the furnace this time, apparently. Do you, boo? Continue heating the house. I guess I'm grateful for your services. So now that the furnace has decided to let us work again, next up the wheel said that I should read an arc, which is amazing because I'm super behind on them, and I selected Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. I gave this book a 4 star. I talked about this a little bit when we finished it, but I think honestly, it was sitting, the storyline in and of itself was sitting probably closer to 3.75. But the fact that this is Annie's debut novel is incredible. And so I think I'm bumping it up to a 4, because what a fantastic effort for a debut. Great book. Highly recommend. We then continued on with continuing a series, and that was Barbarian Lover by Ruby Dixon. I am not going to go on and on anymore about this series. I probably will in another video, but not at least for this video. However, this was a 4.25 stars. Miss me with all of the Ice Planet Barbarian criticism. Well, actually, that's not true. You can criticize it, make it valid. Please miss me with the nonsense of like, I gave this 2 stars because it's unrealistic. Yeah, it's an alien romance. How much realism are you expecting? Oh, 1.75 stars because it's smutty. Yeah, it's alien smut and it doesn't pretend to be anything else. What? Oh, 2 stars because the writing isn't lyrical. It's not a lyrical novel. It's aliens doing it with humans. How poetic and Shakespearean do you want it to be? I don't know. Like I've said 150 times, go into this series with expectations. If you go in with the right expectations, this is just fun. It's just fun. It's hilarious. It's fun. And it's patently ridiculous, and it's supposed to be. But at the end of the book, you're entertained and it flies by. And this is the series that reminds me why reading is so entertaining. And last up, Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. 5 stars, the easiest 5 stars, amazing, incredible, life-changing. I have such, if possible, an even greater appreciation for Tom Felton and the Harry Potter experience. This was something that I will recommend to all of my friends and family and something that I will remember the experience of reading for a very long time. This is one of those books where you will think back on it in the future and feel physically sad that you can't read it for the first time again. I will remember reading this for the rest of my life. So, transformative. And that's it. All done. What a fantastic week of reading. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have been here the whole time, please comment the wand emoji for Beyond the Wand and the life-changing experience I had reading it. And once you're done doing that, like, comment, subscribe, because you guys are the greatest. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.